At a $500 million dinner, one joke changed everything. The chandeliers chimed, forks caught the light, and conversation flowed like a curated soundtrack. Amara Bennett sat at the long table with the composure of someone who had earned her seat. Heels grounded, fingers folded, a navy suit that read competence rather than concession. Laughter stitched through the room until it broke on a single sharp sound, the air's mocking remark about her presence. It landed like a dropped glass. The table laughed. The patriarch shifted, non-committal. The sound of that laughter lingered in the room long after the words had been spoken. If you like stories about leadership and grit, tap like and subscribe, quickly. Amara had built her career on two stubborn truths, relentless competence and an insistence that representation mattered. She was the face of a company that had grown from a cramped startup to a market leader, technology that had created jobs, visibility, and the rare kind of respect earned in boardrooms and launchrooms alike. The $500 million partnership on the table would have accelerated product expansion, unlocked new markets, and sent a clear message that her company belonged in the rooms where deals of that scale were made. But the insult was not just a throwaway jab. It was a public diminishment, aimed not at a contract but at a person who represented far more than herself. For Amara, the joke exposed an unspoken calculus, that dignity could be discounted when dollars were attached. What was on the table was more than capital. It was a question about the cost of self-respect for those who had to prove again and again that they belonged. She rose from the table not in dramatics, but with the quiet of someone who had measured the room and decided there was nothing more to negotiate in that moment. She walked out to the terrace where the estate's hedges swallowed sound, and the city lights promised anonymity. She did not call out, she did not storm or shout. She collected her composure and called her chief counsel and two board members. They met in a small conference room back at her office within the hour.
She stood behind a lectern, a half-dozen microphones like witnesses, and said in a voice without flourish, "When dignity is denied, no amount of money can justify silence." There was no flourish, no demand for retribution, only a candid refusal to normalize disrespect. That night, the moment did not stay private. A waiter at the estate, shaken by what he had seen, subtly leaked a short clip from his phone. The clip was less than 30 seconds. The jest, the laughter, the body language that made the power imbalance visible. Within hours it was everywhere. News feeds, message chains, and a cascade of social posts that framed the exchange in sharp moral terms. The clip became the lens through which the public judged the deal and the people at the table. Social media amplified what cameras had captured. News programs replayed the clip and asked the same question Amara had posed with her departure. What price dignity? The billionaire family's broader network of influence creaked under the pressure. Media anchors threaded the tape into panels. Talk shows debated intent versus impact. Corporate partners distanced themselves in cautious statements. The family's public image, once polished by philanthropy and taxonomies of wealth, now flickered under a different light. The company associated with the family saw its valuation wobble as investors priced in reputational risk. The heir was temporarily suspended from public-facing roles. The patriarch issued a televised apology that many found delayed and insufficient. None of this was orchestrated by Amara. She did not engineer the leak, nor did she celebrate its circulation. Her posture was clinical and measured. Make the decision, state the reason. Allow public institutions, the media, the markets, the court of public opinion, to respond. The viral clip did what a private rebuke could not. It made the issue public, shifting leverage away from polite whispers and private settlements towards collective accountability. The fallout was not simple revenge. It was a rebalancing of incentives. Respectable partners who had been tentative about aligning with a company led by a black woman now saw value in a leader who drew lines and stood by them. Conversations that had once been transactional began to include questions about culture, inclusion, and governance. Offers arrived from firms and foundations that framed partnership in terms of mutual values rather than mere market share. None of these opportunities wiped away the insult, but they did create space for the kind of leadership Amara had long argued was sustainable, competency married to integrity. Amara refused to let the story be about triumphalism. She declined invitations that would have turned her into a trophy. She accepted ones that invited substantive work, boards that wanted to rethink their governance, industry groups asking how to set clearer norms at gala tables and negotiating rooms.
She spoke privately to younger executives who had watched the clip and felt both vindicated and anxious. Her message was consistent. Boundaries are not performative. They are a leadership tool. Months later, she took a stage at a global business summit. The spotlight was quieter than the viral clip, but no less consequential.
She did not rehearse a litany of the family's missteps. Instead, she described a simple principle she had learned the hard way, that respect, in every interaction, compounds into trust that outlasts contracts. "Respect is the true currency in business," she told the audience, and the sentence landed with the calm authority that had become her signature. She framed the choice she had made not as a moral victory, but as an investment in long-term credibility. The broader lesson was not that money never matters, of course it does, but that money without dignity corrodes the institutions it seeks to buy. Amara's refusal to accept humiliation in exchange for capital created a clear example for leaders everywhere. There are costs that a principled leader will not pay. The public reaction and subsequent opportunities were consequences of openness and scrutiny, not vindictive design. In the end, her company did not become immune to challenges. Markets are fickle and partnerships are complex. But Amara's leadership shifted the narrative around what it means to be a CEO who represents.